Hey everybody, I'm Chef Tom with atbbq.com, and today we're making fire roasted salsa on the grill. Well, I love a fresh made salsa, and it's so easy to do at home. Even something as simple as dicing up some tomatoes and serranos and onions for, like a pico de gallo. But today we're gonna take it a step further, and actually this is gonna be even easier than the knife work it takes to make pico. We're making a fire roasted salsa. So we're gonna fire up the grill, we're gonna roast off some of our ingredients, tomatoes, peppers, onions, garlic, and then we're just gonna blitz it in the blender for a restaurant style salsa. So this is so simple that literally the only knife work that we're gonna do at this point is we're going to cut this onion, probably quarter it, break it down just a little bit so that we can get some color on all sides. Now for the rest of the ingredients, we don't really need to do anything. We've got tomatoes, we've got some Anaheims. If you got Hatch or Poblano, those would be good. There's all kinds of variations you could do. And then as far as the heat level goes, we've got a couple jalapenos today, but you could certainly go hotter, with some serranos or habaneros if you want to kick it up a notch. A little garlic, cilantro, and lime is going to round it all out, and we're just going to blitz it like I said. But for now, let's head over to the grill and get these on. But today we're cooking on the Yoder Smokers YS480s pellet grill. We're running hickory pellets at 450 degrees, and it's direct, completely direct flame on to the veggies. Now, the first thing I want to make sure I get plenty of color on is my peppers. We're going to pretty much blacken the outside of these and then steam them and peel the skins off and just take the flesh from the inside. Now the tomatoes for now can kind of sit on the edge here and roast just off of the direct flame. We'll get a little bit more color on those here in a little bit. Onions kind of hanging out on the perimeter as well. Our hot spot is right here where the direct flame is hitting, but these larger items like the tomatoes and onions, they can kind of roast away from the flame until the peppers are done, and then we'll move them over. And I'm just gonna put a frog mat down so I don't lose my garlic cloves. We'll let those warm up on the far side of the grill. Peppers have been on for a few minutes now, starting to get that blackening that we're looking for, so we're gonna turn these, and we'll just keep turning and rotating until it's blackened like that on all sides. We just want that skin to look blistered. Doesn't have to be fully black, but even in these spots where they're blistered, you can tell that it's separating the skin from the flesh. That's what we're going for. All right, so Anaheim's looking good. They're gonna come off now. So a little more work on that one. That jalapeno's done. So these are going into a container that we're going to close up and steam. You could also put them in a bag or a bowl and cover it with plastic wrap. But essentially they're gonna steam now. That's gonna help the skins release from the flesh so that we can separate them. Last jalapeno's coming off. We're gonna roll the tomatoes right over the flame now so they can get a little bit of char. By the way, you can use tongs to do this. I just like to use my hands. I do have extra protection in the form of the knit glove underneath, but it still can get pretty hot. So, maybe grab some tongs. We've got some char on the bottom side there. These have softened up a bit. We don't need these to get totally softened. It's nice to actually retain a bit of freshness for the salsa. So these ones in the back we're gonna take off now. Got all the color we need. We don't wanna start losing all of our juice to the grill. Got a couple, those guys can go just a little bit longer. Onions getting softened up. We're getting some color on those ones that are closest to the flame. Yeah. And then our garlic just softened a little. Take some of that raw out of the garlic. And that's all we're looking for. All right, last of the tomatoes coming off now. We're gonna pull the onions as well. And our garlic. So now we're going straight into the blender with our tomatoes, as well as the garlic. Some of this onion can go in. We're gonna cut off that root tip end on the onion here. So just where that hard part is that's holding everything together. Honestly, if you blitzed it in there, you probably wouldn't even really notice. It's almost gone on a lot of these. If you've got any really crusty hard parts, I usually leave those out. I wouldn't just throw them in if they're just charred paper. Next, we're gonna throw in some fresh cilantro. Really no need to break that down, but if you did, probably about a cup of that chopped. Also gonna squeeze in the juice of a lime. Just depends on how much acidity you want in here. 2 to 4 tablespoons is usually a good amount. Next, I'm gonna throw in just a little bit of our Lone Star brisket rub. You know, you need a little salt in here, and then this also, on top of that bonus, gets you some garlic, some celery seed, and some black pepper. And then finally, this looks a little bit weird, but we're gonna add about a tablespoon of chili oil. See, oil or fat in general is a great way to carry flavor, especially once it coats your mouth. So by adding just a little bit of oil to your salsa, it's gonna move those flavors around your mouth. You're gonna experience it even more. Now, if we can add some flavor to that oil in a chili crunch or chili oil format, then we get even more flavor on top of that. Now, before we can blitz this down, last thing we gotta do is break down these peppers. So these have softened considerably now. You can see how that skin's loosened from the flesh. What we wanna do with these is I'm gonna take the stem off, put a slit in them, open them up, scoop those seeds out, and then just peel that skin right off the surface. So now you're left with this like smoky, sweet, soft flesh of the Anaheim pepper. Into the blender. Exact same routine with the jalapenos. So we're just gonna blitz this until it's smooth now. Smells incredible. Nice green color because of all those chilies we added, but those tomatoes that were caramelized on the grill, they're really gonna help to sweeten things up. Now I tend to leave this a little bit thicker, but if you want it even runnier, you can add a little bit of water, even like a little bit of pineapple juice to it to sweeten it up. And then whatever I'm not eating right away, I'll just pour it into a mason jar and stick it in the fridge. It'll be good in there for a week or so. All right, let's get a taste here. Oh man. It's crazy how fresh and smoky it is at the same time, because usually those things don't go together. Anytime I'm tasting a salsa for the first time, I like to do it with a chip, because I don't want to oversalt the salsa itself, knowing I'm probably going to be eating it with something that's salty, tacos or chips or whatever it may be. For me, the flavor is spot on. Getting a lot of chili flavor. I'd call this medium heat. There's a mild burn on the tongue, but again, you can adjust your ingredients any which way you like. I mean, you don't have to use any hot peppers at all. The Anaheims are gonna be fairly mild. The Hatch can be mild to hot. Poblanos are fairly mild. Green bells even, or red bell if you wanna sweeten it up. Or then you add less peppers and more tomatoes if you want a more tomato forward salsa. There's so many ways to flip this. And it's a lot of fun to play with, but more so, it's just easy to pull off and tastes so much better than anything out of a jar. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out atbbq.com for all the products featured in today's video. If you enjoy the recipe, hit that subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, or there's anything you'd like to see me cook, let me know in the comment section down below, and let's be good to one another. For more recipes, tips, and techniques, head over to atbbq.com/thesauce. All things barbecue, where barbecue legends are made.